Hey everybody, this is a special edition of Two Old Bucks. This is Old Buck Dale, man in the desk at our studios in Normanville, PA. And we have a special guest, our first uh, international correspondent reporting from a foreign destination. And that correspondent, are you there?
I would be here. I would be old Buck Dave, the foreign
Ah!
correspondent. Yeah.
Anyhow, we know you're traveling, so I think you said you might be in Canada.
I'm pretty sure I'm in Canada. Yeah, I look around. People are speaking French here, so I must be in somewhere in Quebec. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
should say you're in Canada, eh?
I'm in Canada, eh? Nobody's saying that here. I don't know.
I know where
Maybe
that came from.
nobody's saying that up here. We're not speaking English though, so. Hey, I'm in Canada. I'm in Quebec City right now. Beautiful city. But I got to tell you about my border crossing. You know, I whined a little bit last time about filling out this arrive can form and going around about that sort of thing. Well,
Yeah.
I'll
How
tell
did
you
that
what.
go?
This was the best border crossing I ever had. You know,
Huh.
we pull up to the border. I give him my QR code. He scans the QR code. He checks our passports. And he says, "Are you here on business or pleasure?" I said, "Yeah, pleasure." He said, "Where are you from?" We said, "Florida." He said, next thing he said is, "You have any guns with you?"
Oh,
We said,
yeah.
"No, no guns." He said, "You left all your guns in Florida." A little bit of humor there. I
Mhm.
said, I said, "We left no guns in Florida, and we have no guns with us." He said, "You're good. Go."
Isn't
I
that
was,
interesting?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really just the easiest, quickest border crossing ever. So sorry I said anything bad about the Arrive Can folks. It really worked. It was quite helpful.
But wasn't that we suggested that might be a gentle border? I mean, sort of a local semi,
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of local traffic
yeah. It
along the border.
wasn't certainly it wasn't Niagara Falls. I mean, there were 5 lanes and maybe 4 or 5 cars in every lane, moving reasonably well. So yeah. This was
Hmm.
definitely kind of a low key coming in from Vermont.
Well, have
Yeah.
you been ride your bike around Quebec or
I
something? What have you going
have.
for?
I
Oh, really?
have. Yeah, it's I got a couple rides in already. You know, we're staying in what is called the Saint Roche neighborhood. It's not the most sparkling, cleanest neighborhood in Quebec City. It's kind of like for you, the Pittsburghers out there. It's kind of like East Carson Street, only a lot bigger. and
And
so
those
yeah,
folks would know what you're talking about. So there you go.
everything's under construction. Yeah, we've got a mix of characters in the streets here in the neighborhood. We've got lots of great coffee shops, restaurants, little stores, blah blah blah.
But that's part of your adventure. I always thought
I
that.
yeah, I don't want
You,
I don't want the sanitized version. I want the real
uh,
version.
yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I got a couple bike rides. Went the first bike ride. I went around the perimeter of the port. Uh, it's kind of funny actually.
Oh, so it's on Lake Erie? Is it?
No, this is
You said port. What's the port of what?
well, it's on the St. Lawrence,
Oh, okay, on the Seaway.
St.
Okay.
Lawrence Seaway. Yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful city. I can't tell you how pretty it is. I've been here. I was here once before. I think around 1990 ish, and it's gotten better, bigger, for sure. But anyway, so I took off. I found the river. I think it's the St. Charles River, and that leads you into the St. Lawrence Seaway. And there's a nice, paved path around the perimeter there, around the perimeter of the port, perimeter of the city. You can look up, you can see the Frontenac, all the old buildings up on the hill in the old town. So I'm going 4 or 5 miles. I guess I'm about 4 or 5 miles out now, kind of past the city and just riding along on the paved trail along the highway, between the highway and the river. And it's all separate. I mean, there's absolutely no danger here. You're all isolated. It's terrific. So then there's a blockage on the trail there. There's a sign there. It says, well, basically it says you can't go anymore. It's in French, but I kind of figured it out. I saw there was another couple on bikes that were talking to this woman who was a guard at that point. And after they got done with her, I went over to her, and she kind of, and she spoke some English. I spoke like no French. And she said, well, yeah, they're paving up ahead, so it's closed, so you can't go any further, unfortunately. And I looked up. There was a road that goes up the hill at that point. And I said, can I go that way? Can I go up the hill? And she said, well, you could. She says, better you just go back. What she forgot to say was, old man, okay? That's what she meant to say. Better you should go back. And then this other couple came up to me, and they had come down that hill, actually. And she had sent them on, into town the way I had come. So I said, this is my first time here. I wanted to get out there. And he said, well, you can go up the hill. He says, yeah, you can go up the hill. There's a path up the hill. He said, it's a nice hill. Okay. So, okay, a nice hill. It was pretty nice. It's about a mile long, and it had an average grade of 6%. And I was up at 9, 11, 12% in some areas.
Jeez.
So I was working. And fortunately for me, they have these little pull-offs where they've got little posters or
little rest area or something. Or what is
well, they're depicting. This is the big. This is where the big battle between the French and the British took place. Montcalm leading the French and Wolfe leading the British. So this path led up to the battlefield. They call the Plains of Abraham, where the big battle was fought. So it was definitely worth the climb. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have my heart rate monitor with me at the time, because they would have told me to stop. But anyway, it was beautiful, and then came back down, and then went back into town. So that was my first ride. It was really nice. And then the second ride, it went in the other direction, out of town. I went east, and went several miles. I kind of almost got lost. So I the trail pulled into this park, and I forget the name of the Marissettes or something like that. There's a big sign there, and there's a bike rack, and blah, blah, blah. So I pulled in there, went a couple miles on that. I felt like I was going in a big circle. I, kind of made a left. And I thought, hey, I want to come back, to the beginning. I come back, I get out of the trail. There's the same sign. There's the same bike rack. But I don't remember the parking lot being this big. So I rode around the parking lot. I couldn't find another bike trail where I had started. So now, I pulled out the Google Maps on my phone. It's like, yeah, it's the same park, other end. So
you had to drive all the way back across.
Well, no, I could just follow the map and link up with the bike path again. So it was not a problem, but it was.
How long did that take you? A couple hours?
Yeah, it was. It was only like each ride was around 13, 14 miles, something like that. But beautiful, just a nice city.
Nice weather, and I think they're pretty considerate bikers up there too. I think
very considerate bikers.
They have a different bike respect attitude or something in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So far you've had a great time up there. Then I'm glad you're safe and sound and moving along nicely.
Yeah.
I have a couple updates. If you got a minute for that.
I've got as much time as you want, buddy.
Hey, I talked about my Google search engine on the phone. I'm always exposed to that scroll, which is just a bunch of websites I could go visit if I'm interested in the topic, right? You know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's topics or websites that I've Googled. If I'm Googling golf, I'll see golf websites. Okay. So this time, since normally it's Jeopardy, you see lots of Jeopardy sites. There must be a lot of fans out there that stir a lot of activity with that. But this time it had to do with the lanternfly. And,
our old friend, the lanternfly.
Hey, the old Bucks were ahead of the curve. I mean, I admit that Smithsonian Institution is the one that exposed me to it, but it was like a novel thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this lanternfly, they were showing some really nice, is a beautiful little creature. I mean, it's
It
pretty.
is pretty. It
It's a
is
pretty,
pretty.
and it is such a pest. And they have this massive squashing it campaign. And then a couple of articles I googled it, and there are folks that are saying, "Hey, this thing is too pretty to kill." Like they're anti, eradicating this. But the fact that it is now becoming, I think, mainstream, it's going to be.
A
I think
big
it's going to be
problem.
it's going to be in headlines from a long time as it if it does devour some of those pine forests and other things up there. So the old Bucks were ahead of the curve on that one. I again is one of those ones I hate to be right on, but
Yeah, boy,
we
you
warned everybody.
you were way ahead on that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and I have another little update for you. I'm working. I'm engrossed in the dental system. We,
Oh no,
well, I'm
still.
not gonna. I'm not gonna go on to that whole thing because it's always one strange thing after another, and the expense for anything is just it's just painful in my view. Plus the pain of the teeth and so on and so forth. So we're putting this program together. We had a few setbacks and another delay and that kind of thing, but that's not what I want to do. The old Bucks, in my view, have come up with some really, really fantastic ideas. We
You mean
even
like loser lotto or
Yeah, well, that's one of them.
that's
There's a
one of
lot
them.
of that. I
A
mean, even
blast from the
though
past. I'm
I mean,
sorry. Go ahead.
we've done fantastic podcast card tricks. We've
That's
done
true.
uh, what else did we do? We did a lot of unique stuff that I don't know if any other podcasts have done it. You know what I mean? So here's an idea, and dare I say, some of our listeners would ever forward this to the powers that be that I'm
Mm-hmm.
referring to. It occurred to me that someone big like Amazon or Google. I don't know. No, I don't, we don't. I don't. You don't spend money at Google. Some kind of a retail outfit, but Amazon is what comes to my mind. Maybe Home Depot. I don't know. Anybody that says we will give you dental credits, we will give you dental points for for your shopping at us. Like if you spend $1,000 with us, we'll give you $10 in dental credits.
Oh, you might be onto something
Hey,
there.
I'm telling you, this thing.
Ah,
I said to myself, I spend you spend these big bucks at Costco, and they itemize everything. I mean, of course, every time you do it, they recognize you. You don't have to. You can't sneak through the checkout line without being identified. So they'll tell you exactly how much money you spent there and why you should buy another credit card from them. I'm saying to myself, if I could earn 700, 900, $1,000 in dental credits, you know, for shopping,
mm,
I would definitely shop there.
you'd be spending a lot of more money too,
Yeah.
but that'd be okay.
Well, I mean, they give you discounts periodically, but still, I mean, you get 1.5% cash back sale on a credit card. That's really nickels and dimes for the money you spend on it.
You
You
never
know,
cease to amaze me. You know that. That's a fantastic idea.
it's a fantastic idea that whoever does that, I'm going to spend my money there because one day when you go in there and you have a $4,000 dental bill and you say, "Hey, I've got dental points," and they say, "Oh, we accept that because we're going to get a check from
Mm,
Amazon or Home Depot or Target or
yeah.
even maybe even like a pharmacy."
Hey, I got one question for you.
Yes.
Have you patented and copyrighted this idea?
Uh,
Because if you
I'm like
haven't, it's going to be on CBS next week, and the big money boys are going to be all over
well,
this.
I don't know. It just that is such a they're always looking for ways to get you in the door, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Walmart, the Sam's Club, or whatever, they're always looking for a way to spend money, and they offer you discounts on products. But if you could build up a bank, say the minimum bank of say $3,000 is the most you could do it, put it. But I guarantee you, if it takes you long to accumulate that, you probably spend $25,000 in the store, and by the time you use it, that would come in really handy. I mean, that's a root canal. That's a half a root canal.
Wow. Yeah. This makes up for all the loser lotto money that we've lost. Jeez.
Well, all I know is that the old Bucks have come up with some great ideas. I mean, I remember I told you about water. I mean, I go on and on about
Yeah.
the water.
There it is.
And
Yeah.
every week somebody's losing their home on account of water.
Yeah.
So, all
Or
right,
there
put that
are,
down. If CBS gets it or Amazon gets it, run with it, folks. I'll shop there.
you heard it here
Uh,
first.
all right, I will spend my money.
This is audibly patented right now. Jeez. Wow.
So that's my idea on that.
I like it. I like
I
it.
like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I always I had another question for you. There's a lot of pros and cons of the recent loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
What is what is your thoughts on that? I mean, I know that my dad paid for my college education, and we paid our way through. But what do you think that that may help? There's a lot of people heavily burdened with that, way more than I was, because it didn't cost as much in those days. But
I'm torn over this thing. I borrowed money. My kids borrowed money. I paid mine back. My kids paid theirs back.
mm-hmm.
I understand that college costs have gotten out of control. So if this program that Biden's proposed here, put forth, helps a little bit, I guess I'm okay with that. I'd hate to see this be a large scale thing the way the progressive wing wants to do it. Okay, this is federal money that's going to be written off. That's guess who covers that? Guess who covers the interest on that debt?
Well, I thought about that angle too, but would it not give? I mean, I thought that was kind of a pittance. They probably owe a lot more than $10,000. Imagine these people are probably way in arrears, or, I mean, they essentially they could be we could be relegated to sort of poverty forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did some quick math. The federal student loan debt is $1.6 trillion. Okay, that's the second largest category, non-commercial category after mortgages, after home mortgages. Home mortgages are the biggest debt category.
Mm-hmm.
So $10,000 for those making under 125,000 or 250,000 for a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Comes out to $300 billion approximately, or 20% of the federal loan debt. So
About the price of that new rocket.
is that what the rocket costs?
I think that's 800 billion.
800 billion.
And they're going to shoot one off for the hell of it.
Well,
I don't want to change the subject, but
yeah. Well, tell me how you feel. We're allowed to disagree on this.
I know.
We're allowed to
If it comes to that rocket, I say, well, listen, I'll fly up there. If it doesn't work, what the hell? You know what I mean? I go out in a blaze of glory.
Swim my old buck
Yeah.
up in flames.
No, I don't. I thought about that, and I said, I understand how people feel about that. But maybe if they agree this is a one-time thing, we can never do it again. It's not a constant thing, and it's not a complete wipeout. Maybe it's just given 43 million people just a little bit of a leg up, and maybe they'll turn around and earn a little more money and maybe pay some taxes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think these things, as nice as they sound, and whatever the arguments are, pro and con, what the long-term effects are, I don't know.
I would have liked to seen the government go after some of these for-profit colleges that really, really just took kids' money, like Trump University, for example. Of course, none of these places have any money, so there's nothing to get out of them, right? They've spent it all on yachts.
So, what you're saying, let me reiterate that. Basically, you're saying, first of all, they allowed a system set up to really rake off a lot of government money.
Yep.
And now they're seeing the consequences of that. So maybe they're trying to make up for that inequity. Okay, in this case, I like I said, I'm not I'm kind of torn myself between how this is going to work. But if it's a one-shot thing and it works, maybe another 10 years they can try it again or something to pull people up. Otherwise, I don't know. We spend a lot of money on a lot of stuff. So
yeah. Well, let me say one more thing about that.
Mm.
I think this. I'm going to sound like an old grouch here, but I'm a moderate. There are a couple of us left in the world here. I'm not on one end or other of the spectrum. Well, I just think the kids ought to assume some responsibility. Think a little bit. Come on now, if you're going to borrow $100,000 for college, and you're gonna take some curriculum that's never going to pay you any money. Whose fault is that? Is that is that the public's fault?
Actually, is that's kind of like the way it is? Like, for example, yours truly would get involved in $100,000 physics course, knowing full well I could never pass it because of my math skills, and then go ahead and drown myself in debt, and then my final year after I'm 200,000 in debt, have to switch to sandbox or something like that to get out of college.
Yeah. Well, I
Then
mean,
it would
I
never
just
pay.
just saw a woman on the news the other day, and she said, "When I went to college, I didn't understand anything about borrowing or finance or like." Well, whose fault is that? Come on. I'm going to stop. I'm just turning into an old grouch here. But
Well, but
that's the
that's
way
it's not
that's the
not an
way I
unusual
feel.
position. I think other people are expressed that concern too. Well, I don't know how this will play out. It probably has long-term political repercussions. We'll see. But I'm going to hope that somehow, if it does go through, that maybe a few people will pull themselves up, and maybe the people behind them will know better to do, get themselves in that situation.
Good point. Good point.
Because
Eh,
they would say no more golden parachutes for you folks, for anybody. Last, this is the big effort to kind of smooth it over. After that,
Yeah.
you sink with the ship. So, hey,
Eh, eh,
speaking of controversy, how about this subject? You ready?
I'm ready.
Got your cold brew? Probably not, but
It's
you can
too
get them
early.
up there, right? You have a cold brew up there while you're.
We can get a cold brew here. Yeah,
Okay.
we
All
can
right.
do.
I had a question for you for some time, and I still have not resolved this issue. And there's the Roe versus Wade issue. I'm not taking a side on pro or con about about abortion per se. The other thing that troubles me about this is if if the government, if a government or if an institution says you must have this, and you have the choice to opt out, like a driver's license, okay, you don't have to
Oh,
have a
you don't have
driver's
to have a driver's license,
right.
right?
I
Right.
mean, there are things you can walk away from that they require you to do, and I guess that's pretty the general rule. If it's forbidden without a license and you don't have the license, you basically don't do it. So if in the case of an irrevocable thing, something that you cannot change once it starts, my question to you is, if the child is conceived and both parents then obligated legally to pay for the cost of birthing that child, or if the child is if one parent or something, I don't know how the wife could the woman could deny ownership, but the man could run away. But if the woman basically says, I cannot afford this child, who covers the cost? Who covers the cost of all the prenatal care and the hospital stay, or the cesarean section, or whatever it takes? Who would have to cover the cost? Could they ask the state to cover that?
I mean, people rack up medical bills all the time that they're unable to pay, or if they're poor people, they get they get paid for by the system. But that's
So
not
that
my area of
means
expertise, so I don't want to. I don't.
mine either. But I thinking about it, I said, well, if they there has to be quite a bit of flexibility even today with the where women choose not to have any kind of an abortion situation, where they do choose to have the baby and they can't afford to it. So there's already a system I set up to absorb that. But what if everybody decides to do that? Even if you're come from a millionaire family and you say, we don't want the child, can the state cover the cost of having the baby, and then still make me keep it? You see you see where I'm going with that? It's like saying, let's me and the missus have a baby, declare we don't want it, ask them to pay for the cost, and if we have to keep it, then we'll keep it. Maybe have
Jeez.
another one.
Oh man, that's
Okay,
like
that's a real
I'm,
can of worms. That's a
I'm,
real can of worms. You're going to need more than a cold brew to answer
yeah,
that
I'm
one.
struggling to follow that roadmap there, buddy. I'm sorry.
All right,
I know that's a serious topic. That's a
it
serious
is a
topic.
serious topic, and I
I
don't
think
want to make
what
light
you're
of it.
getting down to is there are going to be a lot of unwanted babies showing up.
Or
And what are we going to?
who's going to pay for them?
What are we going to do about it? So I mean, that's a real good point. That's
so maybe somebody out there will be able to answer. So in the Ethernet or CBS or NBC or Fox News, whoever monitors Two Old Bucks.
Or BUCKSTWOOLD@gmail.com.
Yeah, express your opinion on that.
Give us a solution here.
I don't mind the ban. I'd say that's fine. You know, I have a somewhat of a background.
Well, I do mind the ban myself. So
well,
we can disagree there too.
Well, my thoughts were in a place where that was a very rare occurrence. Also had a system to never let a child be unparented. Do you know what I mean? There was just it didn't matter where they came from and whether it was a one night fling or whatever. However that child was born, somebody somewhere ended up raising the child. Now, another thing that was strange about that many child with severe disabilities did not last very long in the sort of private sector, in the home environments in that same country. I thought that was interesting too. You know, if they could survive on their own, if they could somehow get around, if they could somehow figure out how to do things, they could survive. And if they didn't, at about 4 years old, usually something happened to them. Anyhow, that's another story for another day.
On that cheerful thought, let's
move on to another subject.
Let's move on. Let's talk about cats. There's something everybody likes.
Cats?
Cats.
C-A-T-S, cats.
Yeah, what I'm leading up to is our first day here in town. We took a walk.
Good segue.
We took a walk. And we were just about ready to turn around and come back. We said, let's go. There's a couple restaurants down. Let's see what's there. And there was a place there called, and I'm going to mangle this, Café Félin Mélange aux Chats, otherwise known as the Cat Cafe. So we had to go into this place. And it's a little cafe, and they serve, coffee and...
Cafe fare.
But it's basically, it's full of cats. It's full of people and cats. They have a bunch, I don't know, 6 or 8 cats that live there, and it was just a hoot. These are the prettiest cats, all shapes and sizes, and they were all very friendly. And my wife in particular was just delirious. We had such a good time petting the cats, and the cats.
And this is with all the food stuff around too.
Yeah. And the cats can jump everywhere. They have ledges built on the walls, so the cats can run up the sides of the walls, and it was great. It was just terrific. They were great looking cats too. The one looked like a lion. He had it shaved. It looked like a lion. Had a big furry face, and then a fur on the tip.
Well, you realize, of course, that this story is going to be the headlines for Buck's Too Old.
Well, I'll put a link to one of these. I'll put a link to.
Makes all my other stuff sound kind of bland there, doesn't it?
It was terrific. It was terrific.
But that's part of your adventure. You seek out these little things and new little things. Always make me laugh when you tell me you're running something like that.
Well, guess while we're doing the podcast now, my wife, I said, you got to get out of here. I don't want, as usual. She stays away. She says, I'm going down to see the cats again. So,
well, that's cool. That's a cool place. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that in America. Doggies. I've seen some dog places, but.
I have actually. I think there's one in Lawrenceville in Pittsburgh area. I've been to one in the Cat Depot, if you recall, if you've ever been there. But they don't serve food there.
I was going to say that as long as they're not serving food, you can play with the cats. Yeah.
You can play with the cats. Yeah.
Puppy World or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I hope we get some comments. I think we get some comments on all the stuff that we talk about. But I really think the dental thing is something some big retailer is going to take involved in it, because I know I would definitely spend some money there if I could pick up a couple $100 credits.
Yeah.
For the inevitable.
For the inevitable.
You'll definitely one day you're going to be in the dentist. There's no doubt about it. So Dave, how are we doing on time?
We're getting close, but that's okay. I got a rant also. It's nothing like your rants here. But
okay, that's a compliment from you.
This is when I was still back in the USA, right before we left, I was with a fellow who was trying to go on a lactose-free diet. All right, so we were in a little store together, and he picked up a bottle of this muscle milk, it's called, which is like a protein supplement, basically, I believe. And right in big letters in the front, it says dairy-free right under the label. Big, nice letters, dairy-free. So he bought it, all right? So then he picked up a newspaper and some things. So we're going back to his place, and I look at this bottle, and I looked around the back. First ingredient's water. The second ingredient is milk. The third ingredient is milk, or milk products. And then at the list, there's like 7,000 ingredients in this stuff. And down at the bottom, it says, contains milk. Like, what am I missing? Isn't dairy free? Isn't milk dairy? Am I missing something? Is there?
Actually, the labels, I've never seen anything on that, like on television or a documentary on labels and who creates those and the science behind the colors or what they say. But I'm telling you, the labels are so misleading. They're unbelievable. Unbelievable how misleading labels are.
They had the gall to list. It says, dairy free on the front, and in the back it says contains. Now it says it in much smaller letters on the back.
Of course.
It's there. Unbelievable.
Well, maybe, like I said, the stuff is so misleading that unless you read all that stuff about how much sugar's in it or how much salt, how much sodium's in it, like 58% salt. There's a lot of I think a lot of very clever science that goes into printing those labels. So it wasn't lactose free at all. It was. Did he try it and find out to be a problem, or it obviously didn't bother him?
I don't know if he tried it or not. He was a little upset when I pointed out the backside of the label to him.
Oh, does he have a problem with lactose?
I don't know. He's trying to figure it out. He's just going through
Is he an old buck like us?
He's an old buck. He sounds like you in that way, and he just has trouble eating certain things.
It's trouble, and you don't find out. You find that out the hard way. You know that, don't you? What you can and can't eat anymore, what gives you trouble. The old bucks used to just devour everything and wash it down with a beer. Not anymore. Not anymore.
Did I tell you we went to the Cat Cafe?
You did? Oh, we probably ought to leave on a high note.
We probably should leave on the Cat Cafe on a high note here, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll have to thank all our listeners. Remember, this is your
international.
Notes. Yeah, this is an international
episode, baby,
with a lot of great ideas. Oui,
monsieur.
We really touched on all the heavy subjects this time.
Bonjour, au revoir.
Old Buck Dell saying, I'm getting out of town now.
I just say, if you can't go to Europe, come to Quebec City. It's just like being dropped in Europe in a lot of ways. It's a beautiful place. That's the final plug for Quebec City. Off to Ottawa tomorrow.
All right. Happy trails to you, my brother.
All right, man.
Talk to you again.
Take care. Bye-bye.